Hi everybody, this is Liz here. You know my voice, so I don't have to show you my face. This, as you know, is Nick Reed, our franchisee success manager, and I've caught him off guard here. But I would love to hear about our trip this weekend. Where are we right now?
We are in Denver.
We are in Denver on a layover from Memphis.
Yes.
Very nice teeth.
Well, I just ate a bunch of food, so.
Yeah, so tell me where you went. This is our very first time to have you along with us, and a little bit of what it was about.
Yeah, so we just got back from Memphis for the annual Memphis meetup that Kevin puts on. Super awesome. How many people are there? Like 20 or 30?
I think there was more like 60.
That many? No.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think there was that many people, but it was shocking the amount of people that were there, even from 3 years ago when we started out and it was like 5 people.
Yeah.
Or no, 7 people.
Yeah.
3 years when Kevin did the first one. So yeah, just to see like the amount of people that were there was pretty incredible. Yeah, and the energy was good. You know, I feel like everyone that goes to the Memphis meetup, you know, those are the people who are willing to take the time away from their business and actually speak with other people. Gain a better perspective on the future going forward. So
yeah, it's crazy that a franchisee would be willing to do that, to make it possible that halfway through the year, right after spring rush, right at the tail end of it, that
when
he would do
tired
something.
and,
Yes, just to encourage everybody.
Money. Yeah.
100%. So his structure of the day was really good. So it was one full day. So can you tell us kind of who spoke and a little bit of what they spoke about?
Yeah, well, there was a bunch of different speakers, and after the pressure washing presentation, it was pretty rapid fire. There was Connor Hutchinson, and he spoke about his what's been going on with him and learning lessons about leadership and management, scaling all of his 4 locations, and as a combined aggregate doing 1.5 million. So that was really good to hear from him. We heard from Joe about sales.
Where's he from?
Joe Helgerson.
Texas.
One of the Texas locations. I know those guys have 3. I don't know which one he manages specifically. But yeah, so we heard from him. We heard from Connor. We heard from Brian Connor and Jeremy Owens. And they were talking about the dynamic of having a partnership together. They've had a partnership over the last like 7 years, but they were also speaking about you know, what it takes to be a successful general manager. And Mukit in North Augusta has been doing a phenomenal job, and he was there as well, so it was really nice to hear from him too, and kind of, you know, get his perspective. It's like you're getting all angles and all sides, and what's been happening is, as Augusta's progressed over the last few years, is like there's a lot more general managers, a lot more information, a lot more resources, because people are going down that route, and it's really helpful, especially to people such as myself that are now trying to manage people and figure out that dynamic. So lots of value there. And then I hope I'm not forgetting anybody, but I spoke on owner success, obviously a broad topic, but I was just trying to speak about like something not typical, you know, like the foundation, how we are the foundation of our businesses, and how we should look internally and focus on, you know, our health, our state of well-being, and kind of like how when Mike says priorities, like priorities come prior to everything else. So that kind of using analogy of building the foundation first, because you can't build something great on a weak foundation. So that was what my talk was all about. And then your talk, maybe you could flip the camera.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, here, I got you. You talk about yours.
Yeah, so I talked about revolutionary leadership and just went from a personal experience at the beginning, just kind of to draw people in, and then a little bit about leadership, and then I went through multiple examples of the Civil War and what brought our country to freedom, and each of those people, how they led, and then back up to today, leading today. We aren't having our teams, you know, fight for their lives or anything, but we deal with a whole other set of issues with the demographic of people we lead. And so then I just wrapped it up after that with just ending about me and then all of us together going forward. So it was about 30 minutes, I think I talked.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, and then at the end, Mike gave a presentation, and it was kind of like in the weeds tactical. He used some really good analogies to kind of describe like the path going forward, why software and technology is so important, and yeah, it was just nice because it kind of gives us clarity as to what the future looks like, and it's just innovating on what we're already doing, making Copilot better, making Augusta better, making Command Center better. I know a lot of people asked you about that, and it's come a long ways in the last few years. This year was an absolute success, and then just seeing you scale that and make it better as time goes on. So it was really good. It was just nice to get to just like talk with other owners, hear what they're going through, struggles, because it is tough out there, especially when you're alone. You're in your territory if you don't have anyone else nearby. You can get really disconnected. A lot of times you can forget why you even got started, why you're doing it. You kind of feel like you're on an island and no one understands the problems that you're going through. So it is nice to be able to just connect with everyone, because everyone's struggling with stuff, including myself. And it's just nice to be open and vulnerable with people and share those struggles, get different perspective. Someone that's not in the weeds on your situation, they usually can bring really helpful perspective. So it was really nice. It was nice to see everyone. Great recharge. I feel recharged, ready to get back to work.
Did it help you personally in your own business? Were
Oh,
you
100%.
encouraged by that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like a lot of talks, yours particularly, was pretty inspiring, and kind of reignited some of the passion that just kind of fades when you're in day-to-day operations and you're just doing the boring work and just accomplishing tasks. Like sometimes you lose connection with that fire inside, that like that's the reason that you wake up every morning. And so like reconnecting with that's really good. And then personally too, it's nice for me to be vulnerable too, because obviously in my position, like I'm supposed to coach and help people through their situations, but it doesn't change the fact that I myself have situations that I go through and struggle with. For me, I guess selfishly, it was nice to just talk with other owners and tell them what I'm going through. Maybe it's good for them because it's like, oh, okay, like not everyone has it together. Good. And then too, it's like I'm getting advice and feedback from people that have fresh set of eyes and perspective on my situation. So I found that really helpful, actually. Yeah.
Did you meet people you've never met before?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so part of my like agenda, being the owner success manager, I find it important to connect with everybody. I have a list of people that it's my goal to connect with. So some of those people were there. It was really nice to see them, and I got to spend lots of time with them, hearing about their business, hearing about their struggles and stuff, and almost doing like live coaching calls, so to speak. And that's really nice. I always just like hearing about people's origin stories too. That's really interesting. It's like hearing how people got started. That's my favorite part. And what I realized is that at Memphis, there's a lot more time for that, but not during regular coaching calls, because usually you're just trying to get to the point. So it was really enjoyable.
And for you as an owner success manager, how do you feel about going back? Do you feel more equipped to coach? Different perspective, better perspective, or did it really not affect you in that way?
I don't think I've had time to come to a conclusion about that. I think once I start doing calls again, like if it feels different, or maybe if I'm thinking differently, that's when I'll make the connection. But right now, I don't know. I know it's not a good answer.
That's okay. What was it like traveling with Mike and Liz?
Awful. I'm kidding. No, it was good. It was good. Yeah, it's good.
Did
Mike,
you find us annoying to be with?
Of course not. You're asking me with a camera in my face. I'm not going to say yeah.
Look at Mike right now. Oh,
Mike's in autopilot.
He's stretching. Yes, he's working. Forgot his iPod, so he's wearing these big headphones the whole time. Stretching the other leg now.
Yep.
Good man. Never stops working. Stretching his back. He played a prank on me this morning, so he needs to be gotten back for that.
Mike did?
Yeah, he put a sticker on my back and
right.
said that I was part of the baggage and posted that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, bless his heart.
That's funny.
Yeah, so what have the challenges been that you've been going through in your business right now? Is it people? Is it trying to have another person become a GM?
Yeah, it's always people. I think as all of us continue to grow in our businesses, like the challenge that we face, it's all people. It really is. It's just managing people and trying to learn how to lead effectively. So I was just kind of dropped into that position, because it was like 8 months ago. I was literally just owning and operating my own business. Like I was managing everything. I had full control over everything. It was easy because I could just do the work. I had one employee, and it was just like, just easy clockwork, like comfort zone, super easy. But now there's a lot more like people skills involved, and that's the hard part because you feel like you don't have control. People kind of do what people do, and especially when they're in charge of stuff. Like right now, I have someone managing my business, Marysville, that I've spent years building myself, and that's, it's uncomfortable to give someone that. And then, as the owner, you're looking at like all the areas they're deficient, and makes you insecure because the position I'm in now, I can't jump back in because I have so many other responsibilities. So really, and then managing Bellingham and Mount Vernon, that's not as difficult because they're really set to go. But yeah, definitely some struggles with just leading. So that's why I just feel like it's important to put extra emphasis on just making sure that I'm at my best so that I don't leave anything to chance. That's kind of my goal, and just providing every opportunity and just every opportunity and as much grace as I possibly can, and giving people every chance to succeed, and the rest is up to them, I suppose.
Yeah, so the general manager you have now, before you were given the offer of the position as the franchise success manager, whatever you call your title, before that position, I remember you speaking about the person on your team and saying that they were the kind of person that you had poured a lot of time and attention to. You were trying to get them to really press in there and become a part of the 3F program and everything. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of seeming like just a steady kind of employee that would never want any more. But then they were kind of, quote unquote, forced because they were your only option when you were offered this other position. Do you think that was fair to them?
That's a great question. So this is really interesting because the only way that this plan would work and I could get closer to what I really enjoy doing, which is helping people, and I just have such greater impact being part of the franchise. And so for me it made sense, and it was an opportunity that I was like wanted to jump towards, but then it was contingent on, hey, like, can Matt, he's been with me for 3 years, can he step up and run the location? Because we had talked about it for like a year and a half, just kind of bouncing back and forth, but it never happened. We never took steps because I was always in the way. I was always doing it. And he's in his 40s. You don't know what it's like until you start doing it.
Yeah.
So I think the idea, especially like when we all got into business, we probably had a really idealistic image as to what it was going to be like, and then the reality turns out not to be that way. Like people think, I get into a leadership position, like I've made it, like I make more money, I do way less, like it's easier, when in reality it's the opposite.
Yes.
And if you haven't prepared for that, that can catch people off guard. So it's usually just like more stress and responsibility, and so I think he's dealing with that. But anyways, like going into it, like I checked with him, I was like, hey man, I just hope he didn't say yes because he could tell I was enthusiastic about my position. I made extra sure, but that doesn't mean that, I'm like, hey man, like I need to know, are you ready? Like this is all depending on you. And maybe that pressure caused him to say yes, I don't know. But maybe he actually was ready, and he's like, all right. And he stepped up in a big way, in a lot of ways, and he's also struggled in a lot of ways. So time will tell. I think it's just up to me to give him grace and coach him through any of the mistakes that he makes. And it's just tough because it's like you're personally wrapped up in it. It's your business. You don't want to see like people do anything wrong that harms the business. But he hasn't gone through training yet, so it's been a couple
You mean
months.
the franchisee training, what they experience when they come? We put the GMs through that?
Yeah. So, because right now it's like I don't have a week and I also don't have the whole training structure. I don't have a week to sit there and go through everything and give them a holistic understanding of how everything works. So right now it's like bits and pieces, like we're working together, there's friction there. And I feel like part of that's holding him back and preventing him to fully be able to own the role and just take it and run. And then I say like, hey, like this is our desired outcome. Whatever you do to get there, that's on you. Right now it's still very much in the weeds. Like all he does is like the estimates and the field work and then kind of managing the guys out in the field. And I do everything on the back end with like the CRM and stuff. So it's kind of weird. I think once he gets ownership over everything, he'll really excel. So yeah, we're just kind of in limbo until that happens at the end of this month. So
What if somebody like yourself took someone out of the field and made them a GM and it wasn't working out, and then they gave them their position back? Do you think the person would be relieved, or do you think they would be feeling demoted and then just leave?
it all depends on the person. Some people will feel relieved. They'll be like, oh man, like I only took that because I kind of felt obligated to, and this is really what I'm happy with. Like I would like to stay here. You're gonna have people like that. You're also gonna have people that, from an ego perspective, they can't take a demotion like that. Like even if they weren't cut out for it, or if they don't like it, just the fact that like having to deal with that from an ego perspective, you'll also have those people too. So it's up to the individual, and it's up to just like knowing the person, talking with them, communicating with them, just getting them to open up as much as possible and just be honest with themselves. Because I don't know. I don't know what truly motivates someone, and they don't really know either too until they try it. So yeah.
How have your other team members reacted to having him come into a GM position? They've been fine with it?
Yeah, because I guess they were onboarded when he was already like,
Oh, okay, that's all they've known.
yeah, when I was establishing him as that authority. So they know the dynamic, they know that he hasn't gone through training and everything yet. They know he will, but yeah.
What kind of things have you been listening to recently?
Oh gosh, what have I listened to recently? I have to pull out the books.
Do you switch between podcasts, Audible?
Yes. Let's see.
Like you're in the mood for one for a while and then you go back to your books?
Yeah. So Alex Hormozi, I've been listening to his podcast like from like early on. Not
When he
his
was in the
recent
closet?
stuff. Yes. So yeah. So I've been listening to that. In terms of other book stuff, not a whole lot. I started listening to one book about public speaking, and didn't get very far.
Because you're done speaking, so you don't care now?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and it's interesting because what I've realized is when I was in the field, this is an interesting dynamic that I haven't really acknowledged yet. When I was in the field, like doing the actual work, I could listen to books all day, every day, and it was awesome. And I listened to a ton of books that way. But what happens is, like now in my new position, like I'm not just like pushing a mower or like using a weed whacker. There's very little time. And then on the weekends, you know, I'm spending a lot of time with Hannah. So there's also not a lot of time on the weekend. So it's like, I think that's kind of why I've been gravitating towards the short form content. I just try to keep it simple too. Like when I'm listening to something, I just try to keep like, because if you get too many ideas coming in from too many different places, or all these different ways of thinking, it's hard to like track with anything. So yeah, I guess, or I gravitated towards Alex Hormozi recently. I'm just trying to stick with that one thing and listen to it. And it's easier for a podcast because I could listen to one and it's like 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Versus a book. But yeah, I guess I'm ashamed to say that I haven't been listening to a lot of books recently. Yeah, I haven't really pointed out that deficiency until now. So I don't really. What do you do? Like,
Yeah, it's harder when you're actually in a group of people all day and you're having to lead and talk and interact.
like yeah, all of your day is talking and
Yeah.
doing things that you can't just listen to a book.
Yeah, so as soon as I get up, I usually check if there's something new with Alex, Layla, the All In podcast, My First Million, a few of them like that. And then if there's nothing new, I hop over to Audible, keep listening to a book that I'm listening to. Some health stuff now, and I noticed that there's a lot that I just stopped listening to because they're just not really where I am anymore.
There's such
I'm
a thing
learning.
as too much information.
Yeah, well, just old things that I would have listened to before on personal development and getting through life and facing your hardships. And I'm done dealing. I'm done trying to be told all that. I just need to do it and need to live my life and get after it. So I've been just learning, like soaking up learning and moving on. You mentioned Hannah's name. She's a school teacher, right? Is she going for her master's still?
Yeah, or her second one.
Oh, seriously?
She's crazy. Yeah, she's awesome. So she's obviously on summer now, so she just does that in the summer.
Wow. And how long have you guys been together?
Like 5 years, I think.
Yeah, you told me something really remarkable yesterday, and it was that you guys have never fought. How in the world is that possible?
I don't know. Like, we just don't.
It's incredible.
Like, yeah.
It's so rare.
Yeah, it's just effortless, I guess. I don't know. Or we just don't take each other seriously.
Is that because you've had challenging upbringings and you really value what you have, you think?
I don't think it's anything like crazy or profound.
Wow.
I really don't. It's just like
That's awesome.
We just don't. Yeah.
You're just a good match, I guess.
Yeah. We both love our dog more than each other.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Well, I think I better sneak over and see if he'll talk to me. Do you think he will?
If Mike will. See what,
I
he's,
can
see
try.
what he's thinking about.
He's deep in thought. Can I talk to you for a second?
What's that?
Can I talk to you for a second? We were just finishing up talking to Nick about his weekend, and it was really nice to have you there this time. We've done it several years, and you've only come one other time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really nice to have you there and talk about the bigger vision of the company. And when you come on these trips like this is like your, what'd you say, your 6th bed you slept in last night?
Yeah.
In a week's time. 5 trips, 5 locations
5
you went
states.
to, 5 states you were in. Are you exhausted?
Travel week, let's go.
Yeah.
Almost done.
Yeah, so it's like a marathon then. You just got to get through it.
Yeah.
And how much do you get done that's on your list? Do you just, every second, you're just trying to crank work out?
Yeah, so travel week is no meetings. It's all busy work. So I can fit it in around the flights and on the flights. So this last flight, I was putting together projections we're trying to get a CTO and CPO for Copilot and P2P. So I'm putting together projections for them and like they know financially where the business is going. So a lot of those like presentation creation is what I focus on during flights.
Yeah, you mentioned something yesterday about your presence at like coming to the Memphis meetup and things, that it's good, but sometimes you feel like maybe it's better if you're not there. Why would you say that?
Augusta needs to live beyond Mike Andes. So, the reason it has got to where it is today is in part due to the awareness I bring from my social channels and me making a lot of decisions. But it needs to move on to it needs to replicate. And I think through the core values, other people can take that mission, and people like Kevin can have meetups like this and propagate and push forward the vision of the company without me being there. And I think that's more sustainable. And otherwise, you can have key man risk where if the whole brand and vision of the company fails because I get hit by a bus, then I technically have failed as a leader to actually make sure that the people following me are set up for success with or without me being there physically.
Yeah, it was nice to have you there for your input, but I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, so I will let you go and get back to work. Nick and I just wanted to touch base after the weekend, and we appreciate you being with us. It was fun to travel with you.
Good times.